this exhibition is totally inspired by the figure of Carlo Molino, who's an Italian architect. Would you explain why you choose this figure?
Well, I was interested in Carlo Molino because as I'm interested in context, specific context and architecture, the architecture that it's particular of a city of a specific context, and Molino was he always still is a very important figure of Turin. He worked here, and it's an architect who's very localized, and also a very charismatic figure, and in a way also very problematic, because his work was never so much appreciated by the time he was living. So I was interested in this figure. Somehow he's like
a reconsideration of his work and the importance he had.
The importance
he had in the story of the city of Turin. And the title of the show is Dwelling Place. Is it a special title that you used for the?
Yes.
What does it mean for you?
For me, it means, in a way, this figure, which is Carlo Molino, that was doing a lot of interior designs, and he didn't build much. Actually, he didn't build so many architecture, but he made a lot of interior designs, and he made a lot of furniture, also other things as cars, airplanes, even fashion, theater stage, etc. But he was doing a lot of interior designs, and so this idea of dwelling place, which means a place where you live, an apartment where you feel comfortable with, and so this was my idea, to create this type of atmosphere, creating the lights which are feel you kind of cozy inside and warm, and creating like specific atmospheres, like if it exists inside of an apartment.
And what is also interesting is that Carlo Molino is like the starting point of the exhibition, but I've heard that, you told me that there was also other connections to other artists, like Eva Hesse, like Frank Stella, but indirectly in a way, or like Eileen Gray, who's also a very famous Irish architect, designer. And how can you,
combine
all these different artists and creators?
Yeah, because in a way, of course, I'm interested in specific situations, but I've been developing my work since some years, and I'm interested in special. I'm very interested in sculpture as a concept. I'm very interested in minimalism in the period of the 60s, in particular, in relation to literature, art, because it's a utopian decade, and so everything was possible in a way. The change of materials, the change of mentality. So for me, it's a very important decade, and so the figure of the presence of some artists, Frank Stella, because he was an artist who was referred inside the theater. When they built the theater, it was a reference to for the artists who made the ceiling, and then I didn't want to become completely involved with Frank Stella in particular, so I introduced another artist, which for me it's more representative of this decade, although she didn't produce much. And so I'm introducing again other artists, or Eileen Gray, that created kind of in the same period and in another part of the world, which is not Turin or Italy or the States, and this kind of atmosphere, which for me is also important. There's a lot of different relations with different things.
And I tried to discuss with some people here who were visiting the show, and they were very amazed how, you can combine in a very in a very easy way, I would say, the sculpture, art, I would say, and design. I mean, how do you see it yourself?
Design, I don't know. I don't like the word design.
Yeah.
Neither the concept, because I'm not interested in design. I'm not interested in the aesthetically part of. I'm more interested in the utility of things and how things are made and why are they here and why they exist. So, and I'm, you know, as with time we get older and we become more interested in so many different things, and then we try to put it together and combine this. And I mean, the idea of the design, maybe they speak about design because I use lamps, and these lamps, they are design lamps, in fact. They are, it's more the period of this time, the 60s, and these lamps were produced during this time. And again, Molino used a lot of Danish design in his interior sets. So that's why how these lights, they come into the space. Also the idea of the materials, the wood, the brass, which are materials coming from the furniture, or the idea of the leather, which is something that covers the chairs, and that's why these materials again they appear and they give reference to the title of the show, Dwelling Place. So.
Absolutely. No, I was just talking about design because myself I didn't use this word before.
Yeah,
but
know.
I think what is important is, for example, when you see the sculpture here and you see the lamp illuminating the sculpture, it's how the lamp is, of course, is still independent, and we understand very well that the lamp is not part. I mean, you didn't design yourself the lamp. Of course, it's coming from the exterior and it's coming from another time. But how this lamp is used, of course, to illuminate the sculpture. But in the same time, after some time, it is really part of. It's really. It becomes
what
part
is the sculpture,
of
what is the lamp, if
exactly.
the lamp was...
But it has its autonomy, but at some point it becomes inside the wall installation. It's quite interesting, I would say. Maybe I have another question.